Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in this video we will continue where we left it at the previous video. We will continue from the KeycloakJwtAuthenticationConverter class. Alright, so stay tuned. We are using override annotation, just make a note of that. And then we say authorized authentication token type mono convert. This is, we are overriding this method of converter. Okay, and we say we pass on the JWT, and we are returning mono.jets. This is how is the information I got when I was doing my tutorial, so that's what it is here. We are returning a new JWT authentication token with all these, and then we are streaming concat, and then we are saying JWT granted authentication of authorization converter dot convert dot JWT, pass on your JWT dot stream extract resources JWT dot stream, and then we are putting into a collection of set. You really don't have to worry about that. Okay, at what point are we referring to that method? Get JWT plus JWT dot get class. So that is the method there, extract resource rows, and this is where we need these references here at the top. Okay, this is where we are extracting the details from the JWT token. So when we get the claim as map resource access, and that is this resource access, we are then storing it into resource access as a variable. Is a map type, and it's a string and object into that, and then we are saying it shouldn't be a null. So if it is not a null, then return collections though. If it is a null, then return collections done empty set. Okay, so don't return anything if it's a null. Map, and then we got the account access, the same thing for the account access, this one, and I've showed you in the JWT token, and we are getting it, and then the same thing that we are referring at the top, then we are checking that if it is empty. No, where was it? Yeah, so the next one is access, account access, and then rows is a list, isn't it? Rows contains all this information. Access contains an object. Account contains, no, access contains an object. Account contains an object, and rows contains a list. So and this is what we've got here, right? So so this is an object, access resource is an object itself, and this is also an object, right? And then rows is a list. All right, so once we've got all those details, let me just go down here so you can see. Return an empty set if rows is empty, and then return rows dot stream map row new simple granted authority row plus row dot replace replace it with this, replace that with this, and to uppercase, right? And then we say collect.set. We are passing a collection of sets. So I went through a tutorial with this one, and if you need to go deeper in it, then I suggest you do more research, but this works for me. If it doesn't work for you, it will depend on, the only thing I can pass on here is that if things doesn't work for you, it will depend on your dependencies. Okay, we've come down to the bit that I would been talking about for the other services downstream in the gateway service, is the JWT filter, and this is a custom Spring web flows filter. And the JWT forwarding filter is a custom Spring web flows filter that processes incoming requests, extracts JWT JSON web token claims, and then forwards additional user information to downstream services by injecting it into the request headers. So the purpose of this filter is to we want to be able to do authentication requests. The filter extracts a JWT from the authorization header. Let's go through it. So we are injecting JWT decoder, and then it is actually, let's start from the top, right? We are using SLJ 4J for login, right? And then we are using at component. Okay, and this class implements the web filter, right? And we are injecting a JWT token, and the admin authentication, you don't need to worry, this is experimental, and I'll come back to that why I need it. And this is when we do the admin, but an admin is a user. Okay, so it's no more different from the token, is no more different from, except that we be using that as a higher authority user, right? Okay, then we have a method here called filter. Okay, and this method, we have two parameters. So we have the server web exchange and the web filter chain, right? And this method is you say, I'm logging this one here because we are checking what's coming through this when the user logs in, and we get the token details. So we are checking that the headers are coming through, and I had to do this to debug it, because then when I run the server, it seems to be raining and it's quite loud. When I run the server, you will know what this is, and I'll show you in the command line terminal this info. So just bear in mind what it is. String of header. So then we take that exchange request headers get first. So we get the first part of the header, authorization. Remember the barrier token. So we log in, we say incoming authorization header, this one, which is what we stored here. Why are we doing this? I'll give you a quick round. So we get this off, right, from the headers. So when we get a return, we get all these in return. Okay, and we are sent back. So we want to take this, the first part of that, and say install it in here, and say this is the header. And then we got some strings just for the username, first name, last name, and this is the parameters we are sending downstream. Remember, if we need any more parameters, we add it here. And if in the near future I'm doing something and I think I need a parameter from the token, I will send it here. What parameters are we talking? Are we talking about these parameters? Sorry, yes, these parameters. We are talking about the name, family name is user, given names I think is test user, so this given name might be the first name, user is the surname, email address is that one, and the preferred username is this one, and the full name is test user. Okay, this is the information these are the information we want: the username, the first name, last name, and email address. That is the information we are passing on to the notification producer, notification consumer. Anytime we want to use a username, we are dragging it from the token. Okay, if we are checking that it's not a null, because I had to do this, then we have to say that, hey, we want the bit that start with barrier. Okay, then we log it. Okay, so I was explaining what the purpose of this forwarding filter is. I was explaining it. I will say it again, and then we carry on with the code. All right, guys, once again, I've got to end the video here because I'm running out of time. So we will continue going into this filter method and how important it is for us to use it in order to drag the user details from Keycloak and all the way from the gateway all the way downstream into the other services, so we can make use of it without adding the auth2 server dependency, security dependency into the other downstream services, so we don't have to do all sort of decoding or whatever in order to get the user details from Keycloak. We are dragging it from here, and this is very important if you want to make use of. Listen, I welcome any views. Let me know, am I doing something wrong? Is this not best practices when it comes to Spring Boot and security? Right? And I've also explained it in the other videos. I've said that I'm doing this because once you've added auth2 security dependency in all the other security, because you want to drag the user details from Keycloak, it takes over the security of Keycloak, right? And so what happens is every time you go into any of the services, any of the free resources pages, open API, Swagger pages and all that, it will ask you to log in, and it would want your login to be whatever you've set up within Spring Boot. All right, and then I think at some point I will experiment and show you guys, because I went through extensive to get this idea, right? It will take over, and then it's like, if you want some free resources, what's the point? You know, that's why I researching and got this idea. And so I think it's a good idea for me. So let me know if you think it's not. Okay, thank you for coming back to my channel. See you in the next one.